How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here on this truly terrific Tuesday as we invite you to be a part of Talk Today. It's going to be open line to start things off for the first hour and 15 minutes or thereabouts. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It's open line. Sometimes provide an opportunity for people to share their thoughts and it's greatly appreciated. Other times they just need a little more time to formulate and to share publicly what they want. Not only because not everybody can make a comment extemporaneously, but some just have to wait to ensure that what they say isn't misconstrued, that they don't feel as a result of their comments they're going to be maligned or otherwise. Well, let's share with you. Now, you can choose to chat publicly and share your views, or you can choose to, as they say, hide your heads in the sand. Well, let's hear from you. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Start things off by asking the question, that was asked of me again repeatedly. Why is, that some issues seem to stir the pot, stir the public, stir the emotion more than others? This particular fellow shared that for him, he understands, I guess the interpretation would be from how he put it, those things that pushes his buttons. For him, he says, the minute that a government commits to spending any significant amount of money, now he thought that sum used to be 1 million. Now it's probably, anything above 10 million, but depending on what it is. So whenever the government, irrespective of who is elected and whether he plays a role in sitting on one of the boards or is the campaign chairman and trying to get someone elected, doesn't matter. Whenever a sum of money is being expended, public money, he wants to know that it's going to be spent, one, as a priority compared to everything else. Two, they're going to get the most bang for the buck. So for him, it's economic. He says he knows for others, including, his spouse, it's the environmental consequence because when something happens, it probably can't be undone. More than likely, it's going to impact something else. And so the children and their children and their children's children, how will it affect them? Now, he says he understands that her perspective because a particular place that she's always, sort of enjoyed and talks about when she was a child, as he puts it, when she was a young girl, this is where she would go with her family, and now to see it in the state that it's in, he says sometimes it's almost as if she has this, his word, hopefully, I'm not offensive in repeating it the way he puts it, he says this weird connection to this particular place. And he thought, looks at it, okay, it's picturesque. He could probably see from what, she has shared that it probably was even very beautiful at some point. But it's development, it's progress. It certainly has, again, from the economic perspective, benefited the people that have, over the years, sold it and developed it and redeveloped it and the like. So, yes, there's been some environmental impact. But nonetheless, it doesn't, in his mind, amount to a whole lot. Did they get the best value from it? Probably at that point in time they did. Could they get more value from it? No, probably can. So him, it's economic. For her, it's environmental. I'll tell you something else that he also shared, but let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today. Hello, good afternoon. All right. Yes,
good afternoon.
Hey, how are you today, man? How are you?
Okay. And you?
Very thankful, and I appreciate you listening and getting the opportunity when you can to share your thoughts with us.
Okay, you're welcome. Well, a few weeks ago, Mr. Hart Connor mentioned that when you take quarters to the bank, for example, in the money pouches that you put the quarters in,
right?
And if one of the pouches hold $10 worth of quarters, the bank automatically takes out $2.50 for themselves.
Huh? Why?
Well, their excuse is that some people are bringing quarters in pouches and they're mixed with foreign currencies such as American quarters.
Mm-hmm.
But then, even if they're all Cayman quarters and it's $10 worth of quarters in Cayman money,
mm-hmm.
they still automatically take $2.50 out of it.
Huh. I know that some banks, apparently, if you take, your change, whether it's you or your children or your business, like say you have some sort of coin-operated business, and you take it to get it either deposited or get it changed into paper, I suppose, from the coin, that they apparently charge you a certain sum, accounting fee or whatever it is they call it. But you're saying now they're taking it. Interesting.
Yes. And suppose my grandson now saves quarters in a piggy bank for, say, 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And he comes up with $1,000 worth of quarters. And they're all CI quarters, and they add up to $1,000 CI.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes it to the bank in these money pouches. That means they will automatically take $250 out of the $1,000 that he took 4 or 5 years to save.
And it seems that there's no redress. You can't speak to the monetary authority. You can't appeal to the bank. They just take it out automatically.
Yes, and if the members of the Legislative Assembly do not bring this to the floor of the House, and this continues, our banks will become legal thieves. Thank you very much, Dwayne.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I think, as the caller shares, he did not know, neither did you, that the caller, the fellow that I was referencing earlier about economic, he was speaking equal to that. So, to that caller's point, maybe a good segue into sharing your thoughts. Now, what's your perspective? Because I understand from other individuals, similar to what the caller has shared, you're encouraging. I'll give an example, and I hope this is doesn't make anybody feel funny or you feel that it's betraying a confidence. But take, for instance, a teacher in, let's say, I call it a primary school, so a grade school, in the early years of education, has encouraged children to look at finances and money and being responsible stewards and the like, and perhaps has encouraged the class that over a period of time, maybe it's the first half of the school year, for example, let's collectively save our coins. So with the parents' consent, the teacher collects, and maybe just to make it easier to organize at the end of the day, maybe you would have 4 little boxes, one for the 1 cent and one for the 5 cent and 10 cent, and the like. And over the course of the 6 months of the school year or whatever the time frame, then they'll go to count it. Or maybe they just have one big jar and all of the loose coins goes into that, and then over a period of time, maybe towards the end of the school year or the end of the term, the students gather around and they go about sorting the coins and counting it, and as the caller reference, putting it into that prescribed pouches so that, there's so many dollars goes into this one and so many into that one, depending on the denomination. So presumably, let's say that the teacher shares that this exercise is going to be, sort of multifaceted, and whatever coins raised, we're going to take it to the bank and get it exchanged, and then make a donation to either a local charity, or it'll be used to celebrate the students' accomplishments of savings. Maybe it'll buy something for the classroom or for something else. They have an objective, and part of it is to remind the children that sometimes you got to make a little sacrifice in order to get something. Now, what if the teacher, in doing that, returns to the class to discover that, similar to what the caller has shared, perhaps some banks are unwilling to take the coins, or they're only willing to take it on certain days, or if they take it, they're going to charge a certain sum. Maybe it's a certain percentage, as the caller referenced, or it's a certain fixed sum. The question now is that lawful, or should it be a good policy that is practiced this? Or if you don't agree with it, should there be a way to make your concerns known, whether to senior management at the bank, whether to some sort of monetary authority or the like? And perhaps in doing that, you discover, well, what does they say? Like it or lump it, take it or leave it. There's nothing you can do. Now, chances are it's interesting. Flip side, though, as the caller was sharing, that the banks presumably contend that in order to do this, they're seeing increasingly, not just the CI coins, but also US, Canadian coins from the Eastern Caribbean, other parts of the world coming into the bank. So is that because we have some unethical, unscrupulous individuals who deliberately, very, very, some would say fraudulently, set about trying to beat the system? Now, I can share that on occasion, you go into certain retail outlets, let's just use the food places where we go, and you get back your coins, you'll find that maybe there are other foreign currencies in with your CI currency. Is it as being passed freely without anybody checking? Is it that, again, as I shared, is it a malicious, fraudulent attempt? Is it just a careless endeavor, inattentiveness? What is it? Well, when we come back, let's have a chat with you about a couple of things in relation to what was shared, and have you be a part of our discussions. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255.
Spring is in the air and Easter around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. Stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call 946-3336. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village.
Awake your taste at Daily Grind Cafe, Cayman's longest running coffee shop. Enjoy our cozy ambiance at Dr. Roy Drive, Georgetown. Or visit us online to view our delectable menu and for limited time offers at dailygrindcayman.com.
Hi, I'm Dawn McLean Brady, President of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we depend on government to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. It's open line. Want you to share your thoughts with us. And I would like, if the caller wouldn't mind, one prior, to use what he shared as an example of sort of to highlight and maybe support what the conversation I had earlier with the fellow who said, there are certain things that push your buttons. For him, it's value for money. It's the economic, financial implications. For his wife, and I gather that, as he was sharing with me, we all have differences of opinion. There are things that are, for us, very special, near and dear. Now, for him, it's, what are you doing? Is this thing, going to make sense? Is it going to add to the bottom line? And he talks about it from a perspective. So some of us can quite easily and very quickly relate to his perspective. Others will go, but it's not always about money. Now, I'll come back to that. The caller shared that, in a sense, we feel at times that whether it's the banks or whether it's the utility companies or other times, we don't have any recourse to what we feel. They got us, and gripping us tightly, and there's nothing we can do. There's no sense complaining because there's no oversight. Well, with that in mind, what is your thought? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. What is it that, gets you motivated? Now, when we look at the issues that are affecting our communities, there are times when there are things that are very, very emotive. We get, heated up because of things that transpire, and we wonder to what extent. It's motivating and driving people to say and to do and to act and to get involved. Now, in chatting with a fellow earlier, he was sharing that if you look at Cayman, and for him, it's the bottom line. He's in business, he's going to make money, his employees, they're looking to end of the month for the paycheck. He needs to make sure that, there's drumming up business, that the business is running as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Because, why invest the money if he's not going to make it? He's not a charity. But he shares that when we look at Cayman and we see what is pushing us, now on some, sort of scale, he thinks we need to advance in many respects. We need to look more seriously at our development. What is it going to look like? But where is that, sort of sweet spot, in a sense? Now, he shared that if you look at certain parts of the world from a tourism perspective, where people, as they travel, are they looking for bigger buildings and higher, taller, sort of bolder buildings, as he put it. And I thought, as I said to him, that's a little chuckle, because those are the words that the Honorable Premier has said, let's go bold. He said, maybe you want that, but do you want it to be so developed? Places like Malta, he says, for example, enjoy the visit, but it's not a lot of green space. Everything is brown and beige and heavy concrete. Or do you want it to be, perhaps more like some places in the South Pacific, where you have, a lot of little islands and degree of privacy and tranquility? Can Cayman find that sweet spot, as he puts it? And he wonders to what extent is the public, in particular the voting public, even aware of what is transpiring. The real estate developers, he says, and perhaps some of you may say that's, full agreement. Others might say, he's being harsh, but in their greed and push, they want to see ever more. The government is in thirst, constantly for more revenue in order to meet the increasing demands that are being placed on it by the populace, the ever-growing population, not just for social services, but for other things, the demands of the infrastructure, looking for more and more revenue. But is there a way to get more and still have more without losing more? Well, your thoughts. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. And then the thing that he shared, why is it that there are some things that everybody is willing to talk about, but nobody is willing to talk about publicly? They'll comment on this, but not on that. They'll be willing to share and whisper only quietly, unofficially, but not publicly, and not in a way that should be representative and reflective of a true democracy. Now, your thoughts. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. it is open line as we take your calls and share your thoughts with you. Now, the other thought is that, as a few others have shared, it seems increasingly that the populace is of the view that they'll start a petition to legalize this, a petition to perhaps advocate for this perspective, or to ensure that the voice of the people is being conveyed to the elected government with respect to a particular issue. Now, some have shared that the petition does little more than to sort of register an interest. But when it comes down to it, one, if it's going to be required to trigger a referendum, does it have sufficient, sort of pull and support, and are there people sufficiently motivated to get involved? And then even so, if a referendum is triggered, is it that the decision, the question, the whole debate now move from the hands of the public and rest solely in the hands of those that we've elected? Should it be that case if it is? And if those hands of the elected are being tied or manipulated or somehow managed by some others that are not so much accountable to the people, again, he shares, where's the democracy? Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. How are you?
Very well, Mom. And yourself?
Good. I had 3 chocolates yesterday for dinner. Sterling came on. I think we're going from sweet to bittersweet. Because Sterling, our cow for the milk is just about finished. And don't mention the honey. That just barely dripping. So I don't know what we're going to do, but Cayman, I think, is turning into a bittersweet situation here. Now we don't feel like it used to be. Sorry to say it in a way, but I think that, people have used Cayman for a doorstep to get where they want to get. And no government, past, present, and future seems to recognize that. They come in here and abuse us and get where they want to go. They get our Cayman startups. And then when things can't happen where they are, they don't want to run back to the Cayman Islands. We accept them back in society as if they were around the corner. Which I think, no disrespect, no one coming here and want to live with us in whatever, but we got to have our rules and regulations, and they have to be abided by regardless of who you are or who you know and where you're from. We come in like we can just please everybody except our own Caymanians that born and bred here with the mosquitoes. I have to use that form because in Sterling I was raised up in mosquitoes. No facilities, no running water, no electricity. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we got everything now, and people that's coming here to use us as a gateway to where they want to go. And they're sitting down saying, you know what? Oh, I'm going to sit there for 10 years, and I'm going back to Cayman. When they come back in the next 10 years, you know where they're going? Need assessment and social service. And the government got to take care of them. But Sterling and I are working right now, so we're going to talk some more.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing your thoughts. And as I listen to you, it is one of those times in our society where, on one hand, you find individuals trying to, as one lady shared with me earlier, to remain objective, to remain as dispassionate about something, but to be ever more confused. And she said that when she was sort of involved with the whole practice of law and the like, even though she was not one of those that were before the courts, probably, as she shared, like many of her colleagues, other than being called to the bar and admitted, she has rarely, if ever, had to go back to the courts, perhaps to, maybe sitting on something very briefly, but not one of those advocates that are before the courts frequently, yet understanding the practice. Now she recognizes that we are at a significant crossroads in our country because, on one hand, her perspective is that the general populace probably are not as up to speed with how laws are passed or what the Constitution means, or even sometimes what authorities, rights, responsibilities that they may have as ordinary citizens, what authority vests in their elected members. She believes some of whom themselves are unsure what powers, quote unquote, they may have, who may either misrepresent the extent of their authority, or they may, be mistaken the extent of their authority. Now, she says she's questioning to how our system has continued to evolve, and wonder, have there been overreaches, not just by some of the pundits, whether political, elected, otherwise, in their public comments, or whether the courts of times have shared things that maybe, a bit more than the authority vested in the courts, or whether the senior civil servants within the society have shared things. But in absence, she shares of a very active, informed, and involved public, especially through the impartial and credible nature of media and the like. The public will be left to wonder exactly what's transpiring, and be made to feel a great sense of confusion. As an example, the recent ruling. How many of us understand what it means? How many of us will even be concerned about it? And what impact, if any? Just looking at the way laws are sort of made, amended, where policies come into play. What are your thoughts? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts. Now, I was thinking increasingly to the gentleman's comments earlier when he was saying that for him, it's always the bottom line, the financial implications of what is happening. And he was concerned that with everything that is facing the country, how sustainable, is the country's finances, how much confidence do we have in our published accounts, how much, do we believe that what is being shared by whether elected officials or others, how credible and timely is the information, the statistical data, the financial information, and the like. And then he shares that if we look at where we are as a populace, and if we look at our population, and they, sometimes increasingly calls by many to grow the population base, what would that mean, not just for traffic congestion, but the needs to develop more land for housing, for education, for health care. And he says one of the things that has been increasingly ignored is for our farming. Probably not as much land available as could have been and should have been had we planned properly. But again, and this is where he finds sometimes that when he thinks of his spouse, her notion that we don't look at the environment from a perspective of, well, this piece of land would be beautiful, kept in its natural state for generations. It would be excellent if it was farmed with fruit trees and vegetables and the like. For him, he says, well, this piece of land would be great. Put a particular type of structure on it, and it'll make a lot of money. But where is that balance? And how many of us can relate to his perspective, or are we drawn more to his spouse's? Now, equally, is there a balance somewhere that we're not seeing yet? And to date, perhaps we're not, getting it proper. Well, your perspective. 949-8037. 1-800-534-8255. Let's pause and take a short break. When we come back, invite your calls. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating.
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory-breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide on Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your Type 1 and 2 plastics in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Please keep the Cayman Islands clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by
Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
Headlines. With the latest headlines. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
The annual business surveys start on Monday, April 8th. The surveys are conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office, ESO, and seek to measure the performance of all local industries. Survey forms for this year will be hand-delivered or mailed to all operating entities. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Law and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Law. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the ESO. For assistance in filling the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. 949-8837, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can send us your WhatsApp, 925-3261. It is open line. We'll take your calls and have you share your thoughts with us. 1:30, we had a chance to speak to our friends over at HSA, tell you about their sort of summer internship program they've revamped, giving students an introduction to the whole field of the healthcare sector, and increasingly introduce our students that even with their interests in law or economics or accounting or other areas, particularly hopeful to encourage them in the sciences, that the healthcare sector is not only a growing field, but they can use their skill sets, not just in the ER and the other practices, the nurses and other medical personnel on the go, but many necessary supporting sort of roles that are essential. And in particular, having people who are able to read their x-rays and do the imagery and like. So get a chance to chat with them about that. But between now and then, let's have some open line and have you share your thoughts with us. Now, what I've found increasingly, and even myself have been challenged, is that in speaking to so many in the last few days in particular, not just the practicing or retired legal sort of minds, but other people, it seems that the public is most either afraid or they're unwilling or they're not quite sure, what to say, what it is that they want to say. I'll give us an example. In relation to the recent court ruling, one individual and then another, all seemingly unconnected. I say that to emphasize that just moving about, so leaving my car to go into a particular business establishment, or leaving a particular place to go somewhere, or checking the mail, just within less than 24 hours, so to speak, 3 individuals have said, well, should the governor issue the statement that he issued at this particular time? When I asked one individual, only because of sort of like who she is and the position she has, and I think the respect that the wider community would have for her, she says, well, this potentially could be, she says, not that she believes, and I don't think, only again because of the nature of, or at least my perspective of her disposition, that it was meant to be a slight against anyone. But she doesn't believe that the government would appeal, but said this could be something that potentially could be appealed And so if the governor makes a statement like that, would that seem, her words, to be a bit, premature? One or two others used the word, was it an overreach? Was it a irresponsible comment at this particular time? Another individual shared a similar view in that when we look at the rulings of our courts, or Grand Court, for instance, other than, as we've probably all been shocked to learn, that in the elections law, at certain sections, there is no appeal from the Grand Court. Is that something that we should amend? Is it something we should continue to entrench? Well, that is a perspective that the public, if they're aware, would want to consider. Maybe speak to the elected members of our Legislative Assembly and see whether that is an amendment. Because as I understand, for the most part, when we look at our judiciary, we recognize that from the Grand Court, if leave is given, we appeal to the Court of Appeal and then to the Privy Council, no longer, as it were, as we understand, to the House of Lords, but to the Privy Council. And once those, sort of leaves are given and the appeals are exhausted, then that is the final case. But even in some instances, there may be other redress. Now, as one fellow sort of shared, if we talk about separation of powers and we understand the way that the country operates, where you have your Legislative Assembly being accountable to the electorate, so we as voters elect the people who represent us, and the Legislative Assembly make and amend laws, the Cabinet as the executive making policy, and then the legislative serving as a check and balance on that whole process. Then the judiciary, looking at the enforcement of laws and interpretations and the like, but not necessarily, as in some jurisdictions, making laws. Again, who's holding, who accountable? Well, what is your view? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us if you wish. And for those who want, there are a lot of individuals, I believe, who share the perspective that increasingly we have a number of individuals who will look at some things and will say, well, I guess that's the way it is because it seems to be the way it is. Others will, as I'm reminded by a quick comment, will look at things and say, well, do not like that. That's not how I know it to be. That's not how it is where I'm from. So let's change that. Whether it's the way a place should be called or named or pronounced, or whether it's the way something should transpire. Now, it can be, as some have shared, be an instance where people are edified and educated and come to understand that the practice prior was incorrect. Or, as some have shared, it can lead to a lot of division and animosity, a lot of resentment, and in many respects, a growing disquiet amongst the populace. That leads to a sense of division that could lead to, instability that could translate again to what some only think of, the bottom line, the financial instability. But what about the social harmony? Well, what is your view? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us as you so choose. Now, let's read this WhatsApp if it's available now. 925-3261 says this one was asked us to read. It says you came here from there because you didn't like there, and now you want to change here to be like there. It says we are not racist, phobic, or anti whatever you are. We simply like here the way it is, and most of us actually came here because it is not like there, wherever there was. It says you are welcome here, but please stop trying to make here like there. If you want here to be like there, you should not have left there to come here, and you're invited to leave here and go back there at your earliest convenience. Well, that was sent to us a couple of times. The last by someone that we thought, let's bring it on board and see what it shares. Well, what is your view? 949-8837, 1-800-534-8255, or 949-6990. Any of the numbers allow you access to share your thoughts with us, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Now, in addition to all of this, I must share that thankfully there are some individuals, caller including in yesterday's discussion, reminding us that there are a lot of issues facing the country that we should, as a people, not ignore, not be caught up with one or two issues to the exclusion of all of the other things that are affecting us, not just today, not just our economic prosperity, but our children's future, their opportunities to invest, opportunities to be employed, opportunities to start businesses, their opportunities to be able to move and live within this community in a safe, successful, viable way. And one individual sent through a message I looked at during the break that sort of listed, again, some of the things and has asked us to relay where is the public's sort of growing and continuing comments on a number of issues. One, and this was, as the caller put it, perhaps should be a priority, the whole issue of our traffic, because it affects the quality of life of all of us, whether we're enjoying relatively ease of traffic because we've moved closer to where we work, or because a new road has been built and that gives us access to and from our main sort of places we go, as the person puts it. But still, the issue of traffic, and not just more roads so that we can put more cars and have a short-term fix, but how do we look at the issue of traffic management and public transport and the like. And the individual said, do we need to consider not just the comment of creating some sort of highway or bridge, within the North Sound? Do we need to look at something of having more people use a boat-like mode of transport, whether they're coming from the eastern districts or they're moving in and around, parts of 7 Mile Beach? Now, what is your thought? Perhaps some would say, well, it's going to be very costly to do that. Others would probably share, well, the cost is something, but it can be done. But what about the impact to the environment, and then the enjoyment of the coastline and the beaches and the waterways? Now, is there your perspective that you may have on helping to ease traffic, open up lands for development, and improve our abilities to move about what is relatively a small place, by having bridges and causeways and other things, perhaps over the North Sound and the like? Well, 949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. Let's pause and take a short break. When we come back after headline news, we invite you to be part of a discussion. Stay tuned for Talk Today. When we return, we invite you to call us 949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. Remember, at 1:30, we get a chance to welcome our folks from the HSA. Until then, there'll be some open lines, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
My ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Let's read the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Human Rights Commission has issued a statement on the ruling given by the court on Friday in relation to same-sex marriage. The Commission says they will refrain from commenting in detail until it has seen and digested the full judgment. At this stage, only a summary of the Chief Justice's judgment has been made available. The Commission will make a more detailed statement when the full judgment has been released. Nevertheless, the Commission says it is very clear that this is a tremendously significant constitutional law ruling. In news elsewhere, hundreds of ads running on Facebook for over a year promised U.S. homeowners that governors in their state had just signed off on big tax breaks for installing solar energy panels on their roofs. But the tax incentives were simply made up. The scam ads used photos of some U.S. governors and sometimes U.S. President Donald Trump to claim that with new lucrative tax incentives, people might actually make money when they add solar technology to their home. Facebook users only needed to enter contact information to find out more. Governors' offices confirmed the offers aren't real. A fire has erupted at a Houston area chemical plant, spewing a plume of thick black smoke into the air, and authorities say 2 workers may have been hurt. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez says in a tweet that deputies were shutting down a roadway near Tuesday's fire at a KMCO chemical plant in Crosby, a northeast Houston suburb. Thick plumes of black smoke could be seen rising from the plant. And Trump administration officials are pulling back the president's threat to shut the southern border as soon as this week. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said Tuesday the administration is looking at all options on whether to close entry ports and what the impact would be. Last week, Trump said he'd close the borders as the number of migrants coming to the U.S. has surged. He's threatened that before. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanta Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
At Powerhouse Gym, where you feel like home in a multicultural energy environment for all. They are dedicated to helping you achieve your fitness goals. Whether you have decided to get in shape, train for a specific sport, boost your energy levels, or even look your best for a special day. With a variety of sports options, group fitness classes, CrossFit outdoor gym. They provide personal trainers and equipment. Powerhouse Gym, King Sports Center, offers a complete health and recreational environment for the only sports and recreational facility of its kind in the Cayman Islands. For more information, call 946-5464. Email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. Powerhouse Gym, King Sports Center. Serious results, period. Money Sense, bringing an informed financial perspective to the Cayman community. Brought to you by the CFA Society Cayman Islands and sponsored by One Trade X. This Thursday at 7:30 a.m., U.S. financial planner and 2050 Trailblazers host Rianka Dorsonville joins a special women's-only panel of on-island business leaders, including Dr. Amy Hubble, Georgie Loxton, and Monique Frederick, to talk about financial literacy, education, and opportunities for women in finance. Money Sense, the only personal finance radio show in the Cayman Islands. Brought to you with the support of One Trade X.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can send us your WhatsApp, 925-3261. Always dial 949-6990. A good number to call, 949-6990. And share your thoughts with us. A quick message off here from someone on our WhatsApp. Just saying, it's a changing day. I would almost tempted to read it as it was written, but I sent it back to the individual saying that call and share it, because sometimes some people need to hear the perspective of others to appreciate. This person's view is that times are changing. And we need to change with the times. We need to recognize what people do. And if it's the government who's elected and they decide, we need to fill in a huge body of water in order to develop more land, so that we can put more people to have, more sort of progress and prosperity. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. Then we do it. We need to realize that what Cayman was 200 years ago, what it was 50 years ago, and even what it was 20 years ago isn't the same Cayman is going to be in 50 years from now or 100 years from now. Now, I messaged him back and asked, well, should we have a semblance of what we want that to look like? And he hasn't responded, but I know from previous conversations, what he shared is that, we'll do what we can now with what we have and let those who come after, sort of pick up the pieces and figure it out, as opposed to his perspective that we try to plan everything now and decide for the future. But your thoughts? Isn't that what we do with many things? We do something that can't be undone. And so when the future generations look at it, they take the perspective, well, wow, those guys were selfish and self-serving and short-sighted. And in so doing what they did, they left us unable to do anything better and, have to hold, in some cases, left holding the bag. Well, what is your view? Because some have interpreted that no one's promised tomorrow, so they better get it all today. Others have said, well, let's make sure that we leave something for the rainy day because, you got to eat, not just today only. Your perspective, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. We also had a few share a perspective that as the country continues to be more progressive, as it continues to advance. Now, he said that even in the elected government at one point, it changed its name. It went from being the PPM to the Progressives. And he thought that caused them to, want, from his perspective, to come on board because they were being progressive and they're going to be progressive in their thinking. And he thought, well, let's look at it from the perspective of something that, unfortunately, to date has, given some people a most unfortunate, perspective. The notion that they are, being labeled as, and we use some of the names of individuals, weed heads and pot heads and the like. But they say, what about that individual who, after an evening of entertaining friends, they were to retire, and they have, in his mind, a sedative. They smoke for their own personal enjoyment. It relaxes the mind, and they have a good night's rest. Now, he says it's not something that he has done, but he's wondering to what extent will we look at legalizing marijuana and the like. I want to share his perspective with you, but let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hi, Dwayne. How are you doing today?
Very thankful. How about yourself?
I'm the same. Dwayne, it's become a point in time in Cayman because what we have done systematically over the last 30, 40 years is we have allowed every Tom, Dick, and Harry who comes to our shores and grin up in our face and, pay friend once they get Cayman status, and we have allowed them to change the landscape of Cayman forever. And now that it's all changed, why would I be an advocate now that they start to legalize ganja because the rest of the world is doing it?
Right.
So let's start legalizing ganja. When we get out of the cars, the guys that sat there, which is really what's happening now, smoking the weed, so you got to inhale it. And while we're at it, let's do a little cocaine as well. Just put a little coke into it too, so that we can form like the rest of the world. If this is what we want to be, let's be like the rest of the world then. Yeah.
Right.
The Chief Justice could make that ruling tomorrow morning as well. Right.
Right.
That we legalize the socially accepted drugs. Okay. I mean, because this is all that's happening here now. All right. While I have respect for those people who have their own beliefs, I grew up believing that marriage should be between man and woman, not man and woman and woman. It was Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Okay, and I will maintain that for as long as I shall live. So, and then the one thing that really stands out here is what would be considered as a very, very serious judgment. And whilst I understand the judiciary is an independent body on its own, we elect members to Parliament to make bills, which is assented to by the governor, and I would suspect subsequently under the UK, or the governor may be the final stop for it. Why is it that we have been so lame that we will leave loopholes for things like this to occur? And then we have heard nothing. I mean, we have had nothing. The only thing I've heard is, leaders in the community talking on the talk show. Mr. Bodden was on just a couple of days ago. He called it lame, Mr. Tommy Bodden, and I respect every word that gentleman said. And then we had, it seems like there's a few churches that is actually going to come out and have a bit of a march or some demonstration to show their protest. But besides from that, we have heard nothing from the elected leaders of this island, and which gives me some alarm. It's really alarming, and as I said before, and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it. There's those of us who come on the talk show, and when we come on the talk show, we're castigated because we're on the talk show and we're talking the unpopular. Well, tough. I don't give a hoot. I'm a born Caymanian. My father and mother born Caymanians. Their fathers and mothers born Caymanians. I haven't done much more than that in terms of but I'm just saying I don't really give a hoot about what they say or what they do. But what is happening in this island here is really, really cause of alarm.
I think what is, and I listen to you, and I appreciate you and others who are willing to share publicly, whether it agrees, finds agreement with others. But what is interesting is that in the last, this year in particular, but the last year and then the last couple of days specifically, the people you mentioned, whether it's the politicians, whether it's the senior civil servants, whether it's members of the legal fraternity, I've very consciously and deliberately sought a few of them just to get an understanding. Thankfully, one or two have reached out and said, well, let me give you a perspective so that you can have and I've found that there is an unwillingness to say anything publicly by some out of fear that they may offend a politician, or they may offend the judiciary, or they may be perceived as being an advocate for this or advocate against that. And I'm thinking, are we unable, are we not mature enough to have, as you put in your position forward? This is my view. People don't need to get up in arms and create all sorts of problems just because your view isn't the same as theirs. Are we not mature enough to be able to have that discussion?
It would seem not. It would seem not. I mean, because you could just feel the tension when you're around certain people, because they realize that your belief is not the same as theirs.
Right.
So there's this uncomfortable atmosphere. I mean, I don't care if you're for the PPM or you for it used to be UDP. I don't know what it's called now. Or you for the independents, or you for nobody. I don't care.
Doesn't matter,
that
right?
That has nothing to do with me. It matters not with what political affiliation you have. What matters to me is that you're going to stand up and be accountable, be heard. If we don't come out and be heard, then are they to assume that everything they're doing is correct and is all hunky dory?
Right. Something that I want, and because I don't think that I have the nexus, so I'm only repeating what I believe people who are in a better position, their education, their experience, their professional qualifications. So let's take lawyers for argument's sake, who have shared that one, they have said, well, let's start at the top. Has the governor's statement, been irresponsible? Has it been at an inappropriate time, because this could be an ongoing issue? Two, has the judiciary, the Grand Court ruling, overstepped its bounds and interpretation? Has it been an error, as it were? Is it now that with the media's reporting of it, and now we see a press release from the Human Rights Commission, have we all accepted something with the understanding that there has been a sort of process and a policy that has been flawed? One or two individuals, again, just speaking to those who are practicing lawyers or were lawyers and now have retired, they said, has the government been most effective in defending the case? Was there a lax approach and the like? Just speak to the issue and not necessarily to the personalities, just to what the process was. And it seems that there is a great fear, my interpretation, by many to say anything publicly because they may feel that they may suffer some consequence because they may not be seen to be agreeing with John or with Mary or with Peter or with whomever. And I wonder, is that healthy?
It's certainly not. Because when you get that sort of dictatorship regime, we can see what happens to other countries in the other places around us. I can tell you what, it's really, really, we are just sitting there, man, and I mean, we're just allowing everything that comes foreign, we're just allowing. Where's our heritage? Our heritage is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Long gone is our heritage. They've taken everything that was our heritage away from us, right? So,
I hear you, man.
It's frustrating, but anyway, bro, you take care.
You too, bro.
Day, man.
You too. Have a good day.
Okay.
And let's go to the phones, man. Appreciate that call, Sharon. Welcome. Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon.
Oh, this is good.
Yes, my friend. How are you?
All right.
Good. Hope you enjoyed the afternoon, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right.
I got some rain.
I tell you, man, that's the way to go. Maybe the mango season will be good.
Yeah, man. I hope they ripen fast,
We'll see.
But, it's one thing, right, to have an opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on something you believe or your view. It is another thing to have an opinion based on facts.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, when it comes to the gay marriage or whatever, anything now, right? It's a fact that one of them still has to pretend that they're a man, right?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not quite sure how that works. If you were going to say that in order to conceive, then you need male and female, I know a little bit about biology, but even that I don't pretend. I would try to make a joke, but I won't. But yeah, I kind of follow what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, one of them still has to represent a man role in the family or in the, the commitment or the relationship.
Yeah, I hear you, but I can't tell you that I understand. I don't know. I mean, why can't two people, whether it's two men or two women who are together, still both be, if it's two men, both be man and all, one be, like you say, pretend to be man, one pretend to be woman. Is that may be the perception that we have. That may be how it is. I really don't know. Never asked, actually.
But I know, right?
Yeah.
But you check it out.
But I don't put you off. I'll ask a question, and it may be insensitive. It may be just that I'm ill-informed. It just may be that, to me, I don't see a big deal. But is there something else you want to ask? And then if not, I'll share with you what I was thinking.
No.
Okay? All right.
Because there's another thing about facts is that when they talk about the marijuana,
right,
you know that nobody never died from smoking or inhaling marijuana, right?
Do you think that over time, smoking of it specifically, and I want to think of it from the perspective that we're told that if you, I don't want to call it cook, but maybe burn, so you're doing a barbecue and the burning of the food is carcinogenic, can cause cancer. Do you think then smoking marijuana, that process could lead to cancer? brain cancer, lung cancer, what have you?
Well, this is a surprising thing about cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
The research shows that it actually helps the lungs. It actually improves the lungs.
The smoking of it, or they using it in a different way?
And the part.
Okay.
Or using it.
Okay. Yeah.
Rubbing it on you, that actually improves the lungs.
Right. Well,
we got a man from Jamaica that is the fastest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now he breathing in ganja smoke all his life. I don't see it slowed him down, right? He got 2-3 world records, don't you?
Yeah.
You ask one of these politicians or one of these police officers if they could chase him down.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
The thing is, and I look at, just generally speaking, natural herbs and the like, natural, nothing that's been synthetic, nothing that's, you take it and you mix it with something else. That there are probably excellent benefits to it if used in a particular way, if you take it, use it another way. So with cannabis, I believe the oil has, medicinal value. I think the plant itself, you've shared publicly, for clothes, whether it's textiles or for construction, there are probably some great benefits. Where I'm concerned is that as I hear more and more from people, not just those who are working with drug rehab, but law enforcement, they get a ganja shipment, whatever it is, and when they test it, it's mixed with, the one I remember is formaldehyde, but there are other dangerous chemicals and substances in it. And so this goes on the street, and then the person smokes it, is being, seriously, having their health compromised because they're not only getting the ganja, they're getting maybe another drug with it or another, deadly chemical.
That's our own fault, because we are allowing other people to bring the ganja here. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Not allowing, but
I hear you.
You're making it enticing for them to bring it here.
Yeah,
so they get more money over here.
Profitable, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so they're going to do whatever.
Yeah.
You understand?
Well,
but you hold on. You check it out. Like the U.S. has a patent on ganja. So
it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why would they have a patent on something that would be unuseful?
I mean, the notion that if you took this plant and in its normal state, and let's say you had scientists researching it, and let's say in our research you find that if you extract, and I have not committed any time or energy reading a lot on it, but you get the oil, or you get the leaf, or you get something, you put it in a certain way, and then that can help people improve their health, their memory, improve their, like you say, their lungs, and treat other ailments. Or, as one fellow have shared, you have it, it's a plant, you pick it like you do another plant, and you, roll it, smoke it, whatever it is, just like that. That is probably safer as opposed to being cut with lizard tail or this or that, whatever they did, and then causing people to be, seriously impaired.
This notion that it makes you go mad, right? Think about it now, right? You always got, like, say you were somewhere where it was legal, right? You're going to sit down and smoke it and say, I don't got to worry about no police or nobody like that, right? But say you smoking it now where it is illegal, you always got to be looking and wondering, who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Putting their nose in the air, ready to smell you out and call the police on you. Yeah. That would drive anybody mad.
Yeah, but something that seems to, and it's just because I've been paying attention to it recently, right? It seems, and I use the word selective enforcement, not just from the police or from the legal perspective, but from society. So we'll see, or we'll know that our co-worker who's a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher or an engineer or somebody that we like has a smoke. We seem to be okay with that. But somebody else who is our neighbor or we don't like, or we look at a certain way and we know that person smokes, we will be more willing to look badly on that person, maybe report that person. But both people are smoking a joint, all right? And as far as I understand, it is still illegal. So why we would call the police on one, but not on the other? If you follow me?
Yeah.
So
that's where the divisiveness in it comes in.
Yeah. But
it's not made for bringing us apart. It's made for bringing us together.
But honestly, right? Look at the drinking of alcohol. So how many times have we seen somebody stumble off the bar stool? Maybe it's a police officer in uniform. Maybe it's a senior inspector. Remember the allegations of the people that are down for tempura? How many times have you heard people say that they stumble out of their favorite watering hole with other police officers and they can barely get into their car, but they drive away? All right? Or the big shot somebody somewhere doing it. We seem to be okay with that. All right? But not in other instances. Should it not be that we're not okay at all? Not just the act of drinking, but the drinking to a point where you're so impaired that you're putting yourself and others at risk when you're getting behind the wheel of the car. Why is that not looked at, at a great social ill, more so than it is?
Maybe because we'll get afraid when he gets sober. They come after us.
Okay, maybe. It's interesting.
Because all right, remember we had a judge, She used to get chaperoned home.
Well, there have been many allegations.
You wouldn't want to see her on the, like, you had to go to court, and you had to see her. You sometimes, how it used to go, we used to pray that she didn't have a hangover.
But how is it that someone's, maybe because of the circles we keep, the places we go, we hear these things, the judge, the lawyer, the whoever, out that evening looking at a 6-up, a game of dominoes, drinking, smoking, or what have you. And then the next day sitting in a position of judgment. Again, whether it's the legal fraternity or whether it's somebody in some other high-ranking position. Interesting, no? My friend? Yeah.
We seem to think that one can smoke it or one deserves to smoke it and one like that's a scumbag or something. I don't know.
Man.
I don't get that. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you too, man. Between the two of us now, we probably found a lot of trouble today, but, let's say trouble don't blow shell. Let's take one more call for the break. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey, my friend. How are you today?
Yeah, the people's call I talk with dialogue, see it, right?
Yeah, man.
The whole echelon to this, right? Yeah, it come around. That been going on for a long time.
Right.
And you see, it came on now. They got tendency of prejudging, stereotype, certain class people, right? If it's in a song, right? Thursday, legalize it. You show you which occupation or profession does it. You hear that, All right, and it's done. You see what comes on now. This whole protagonist, right? The lead of character in this debate now with the unicorn decision policy. Right, which is the Chief Justice is ill-advised now, right? And I had a governor saying that all the previous governors in the past and present is advocating for this, right? So you can't tolerate no discriminatory, right? No slogans against anyone,
right?
And she's starting to look at, you see Helen Kilpatrick, the governess, she was based on finance accountants, right? And then Chowdhury, he come there. Environmental and he's looking into decriminalizing marijuana, but he only had a couple months. He never get see that curtain, out there. He's just out. And how is he came on coming to? It got be real independence desire, right? I feel satisfaction desire independence because it's foolishness. And you see, if you came on now, who is the ex-law enforcement? Who used to be a certain white-collar job. When they come on normal road now, they realize in reality. You understand? Every year we hear that uniform or a white-collar job. You take a face of facts. And number one thing, Sterling, that should be legal a long time, from morning. Okay, man, like another simple plant are beneficial in many ways. Like you say, other elements, chronic pain, seizures, epilepsy, everything. The whole 9 yards. Right? But if you came on, you have a tendency, he's a weed head, he's a pot head. And they have a remember, that was on crack, right? But that came on, I think what the Dave came on in, so.
Yeah, no,
They got people out look at him. You ask who the cousin is or who the father was or whoever, what they were doing.
Right.
Hello? But that came on this.
Discriminating and begrudging their own.
You know the problem they do worse things. Hello?
Okay.
Right? But, like I said again, they're not finished yet. I tell them I'm starting from 96 hours. I crossed, they're pissed off, but I can't take it on no border. Yes, hello? And that's my one thing. For long time, it should be legalized. Long time, beneficial.
Well, do you think it's going to happen in short order? Maybe we might see it happen.
It got happen swiftly. You see that petition now? It's how fast they decided this petition for referendum. This is a good cause for referendum. Not a report thing. Not what they're going through. But this is a cause now. This referendum. Because listen, Sterling, all this is causing, right? This is syndicating celibacy. Right? Where future children adapt to the lifestyle. Celibacy. Right? Abstain for sexual intercourse. Lack of proliferation, reproduction. That's all it takes into celibacy. You know? Okay, man, we done outnumbered. Right? Listen, my mother said it's Barkers now. In touch with West Bay now. Right? My grandfather father for West Bay, my grandmother mother for West Bay. My grandparents for the Black. My uncles for the Black, my grandaunt for the Black. Right? But that's the point where we come from, whatever generation, but it causes celibacy in our rate.
Right.
In our rate. I mean, I can't preach to someone, and I'm perfect, and I'm not saying, but you know, one day I go through my testimony.
Yeah, man.
You understand?
Yeah, man.
I understand God, so gas coming on. But listen, this got resolved swiftly, right? Tomorrow they're going to LA. They address the Cayman Islands, the nation, just swiftly. I'm not tolerating it. I'm not tolerating it. Because, listen, Sterling, I have conviction about it because the reason why I spent a $150 for one draw, right? $5 for the draw, $5 for the armed blue bearer, Rizla, right? The same judge, where they go on. But listen, I don't. Next time.
Yeah, man. But listen, thanks for listening, and I think hopefully as people pay attention, they recognize that there are some, I guess, unfortunate misconceptions. Hey, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us, all right? And to our listeners, let's pause and take a break. Let's come back, join our friends from the Health Services Authority, and let's talk about their summer student internship program for a bit and give our children a chance to look at education. And with education, maybe they'll be empowered, and within their sense of empowerment, they'll be encouraged, and with that encouragement, they'll have a sense of conviction, and with that comes confidence. And with that, maybe we'll see some true progress. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
This Easter weekend, the Cayman Islands will welcome the rest of the Caribbean, and you do not want to miss it. Carifta 2019 takes place at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex from April 20th to 22nd. Watch the region's most talented track and field athletes compete and come cheer on your Cayman athletes. Get ready to raise your flags at the Caribbean's biggest athletic event this Easter weekend. It's Carifta 2019. Tickets start as low as $10. On sale now at CaymanCarifta2019.ky. See you at the games.
Carifta 2019.
It's all about unity. Together.
Get your tickets now at CaymanCarifta2019.ky.
Brought to you by
the Cayman Islands Government, CUC, Salt Technology Group, the Cayman Islands Athletic Association, DART, Miracle Broker, Maples Group, Pinnacle Media, World Gym, and Radio Cayman.
Awake your taste at Daily Grind Cafe, Cayman's longest running coffee shop. Enjoy our cozy ambiance at Dr. Roy Drive, Georgetown. Or visit us online to view our delectable menu and for limited time offers at dailygrindcayman.com.
Radio Cayman 3 to 6 mix on the weekdays.
Tune in, turn it up, listen.
Sponsored by the Cayman Islands Football Association, CIFA, building a better future for Cayman football. Savannah Pharmacy. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Every day. All the time.
Ultimate party show in the afternoon. Radio Cayman Supertown.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And I will say it often until I'm corrected because it's wrong. Well, until that happens, I'll stand by it. The pillars in our society are truly a strong, robust education system, in my view, and an equally strong, robust healthcare system. And when we can get our students to recognize the importance of being healthy in body, mind, and spirit, then we can truly see that we have championed the next in society. Grateful for the continuing opportunity from our friends over at the Health Services Authority to highlight not only their physicians, but the wonderful programs that they offer our students, and equally the way that our society can access what's available. In the studio together, 3 of the excellent staff from the Health Services Authority joins us. Talk about the summer student internship program, and with respect to the other 2 guests, let's first welcome back a chance to talk to the leading team over the HR. Ms. Bernadette Beckles, thank you for coming on board, man.
Thank you, Sterling. How are you today?
Oh, man, listen. I always say this because even if it wasn't true, I would claim it, name it, and make sure to call that which isn't as if it were. I am blessed. I believe that.
Wonderful.
And Dr. Davina McCoy.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
I do recognize you shared with us earlier. You have a demanding job like so many of your colleagues. Out of one room and into the next. This is probably not unlike where you were earlier, right?
It's very different. That's comfy.
Comfy. Mr. Parchment, good afternoon to you, sir.
Hey, good afternoon.
All right. Well, we're going to get into the discussion, and I think, Ms. Barnett, from what I vividly recall our last time, looking at our students being able to say, no, this is still, only the second day in April. The summer is going to be here in short order. Hopefully we get some mangoes. I'm looking forward to that. But until then, as our students think about what are they going to be doing for summer, hopefully they'll be thinking about career choices, university options, and where they're going to work. Well, hopefully the health sector will be one of those things. Tell us what this newly revamped summer internship program is, Bernadette.
Okay, well, the revamped program has some more things that we are offering this year. We really want to focus on some of also the support departments, not necessarily only the clinical departments. We want the students to be reminded that we have opportunities available in IT, in finance, and in human resources where I am employed. So with that being said, the application process opens April 6th, which is Saturday, and closes April 30th. And the applicants will be required to complete an online application form at our www.hsa.ky website. With the application form, they would have to provide an essay as to why they would like to be selected for our summer internship program.
The notion, I appreciate you sharing that, and we'll get a chance, both Dr. McCoy and Mr. Parchment, to get, I say parents specifically, as we talk to our children about educational choices, but to understand that if you're working in the health sector, you can be a physician, you can work in the lab, you can do the HR. There's probably a need for legal personnel and accounting. There's so much, but even maintenance and not just servicing the equipment, but servicing the building, the whole sector itself. Dr. McCoy, from that perspective, what does the program mean to you specifically, and share with us?
Well, I'm definitely in support of the summer internship program. For me, I was in it a few years back, so I'm not going to give away my age, but for me, it's a little bit different now. And even from back then, when I was in the program, it was very structured. I learned a lot. I got the opportunity to interact with a lot of the HSA, the Health Services Authority, professionals, other personnel as well. So you have, persons from IT, you have the nursing staff, you have the pharmacists, it's such a diverse community that you're able to learn so much. So I'm definitely in support of it, and I think every young person out there who has an interest in medicine should definitely, look into this opportunity.
Well, I appreciate you, Shana. Mr. Parchment, what about you? I mean, internships in general sometimes in some places they're almost coveted. You can't. You got 3 positions and you got 3 million people. Increasingly, we see more and more because of the growing population that seems to be what's happening. But we still have opportunities. For you, an internship program, this one in particular?
I think I'm probably better off if I spoke about it in general.
Yes.
Like you mentioned.
Yes, please.
And I can share with you my experience with the HSA. I started there pretty much right out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I got an opportunity to come through there, I believe, firstly in the pharmacy, which I was interested in at first. And then also I got to see the laboratory. And those opportunities are invaluable because you get to see almost hands-on, if you will, in some cases probably hands-on experience of what you are probably interested in, as a young person getting ready to move into or getting ready to go away to university to continue your studies, coming in that early. And my experience was really great, actually. There's a lot of good, some negatives, but mostly positive because I still work with the HSA. I remember let me not tell any untruths here. It's a long time ago. But I started in the laboratory, like I said, and it was nothing like I really expected it to be, which is, I think, rather interesting. It was my first exposure to the profession, and it kind of shocked me a little bit. And one of the great things about internship I should mention is that, like you said, about the different people that you can meet. They're different professionals. And I think that helped me the most because maybe I was very fortunate, but I was surrounded by, and I'll put a caveat here, to my colleagues that I still work with some today, that it was a very supportive environment. I was surrounded by people that always encouraged me and in some cases pushed me to continue my studies and to finish. And that allowed me to, gave me what I needed when I was at a time where I wasn't so sure. I thought okay, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. That encouragement helped me to appreciate it much more. And so when I went away, I got a chance to go away again. And I finished up and I came back and I'm still here.
And that's important. Let's put it from that perspective, though, because I would like respectful talks, both Michael and Dr. McCoy, about the internship and helping to shape their career choices and cement. But let's put it from the perspective. When is the internship? When does it start? How do we go about it? Because sometimes the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, I like cake, but it's no good not having it on the plate.
It's true. Okay, yeah. So, like I said, the application process, the registration opens this Saturday on the 6th. Mm-hmm. The internship will commence June 1st, and this year we're going to September 15th. Years past, we've stopped at the 31st of August, but we've offered 2 more weeks to those students, in particular those studying in UK, where their university commences later on in the year. And the time frame for each placement will vary, but it will be within an estimated time period of 4 to 8 weeks, which is different from previous years as well. So with that being said, that with the internship now, we really want the students to get a chance to get valuable hands-on experience, and we feel providing them a longer placement time will afford them that opportunity.
All right. Well, when we come back from our break, let's ask about that, because that valuable hands-on experience, whether you're working in the financial sector, sometimes with respect, the professionals are busy, and go file this, go photocopy this, go deliver this. I don't know what they do anymore, but that's what it was before. And you felt, I spent the whole day there. But then again, you got the clients to worry about. So how does that work? Well, when we come back, we want to tell you more about the summer internship program over at the HSA. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
All members of the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association, you are wanted. We need you to come to the annual business meetings to hear what's happening within your association, so that with your help, we can have a more productive year.
Mark your calendars for these important dates. Grand Cayman, Wednesday, April 10th,
5:30 p.m. at the Georgetown Town Hall. And in Cayman Brac, Thursday, April 11th, 12:15 p.m. at the District Administration Building, upstairs, conference room.
Refreshments will be served at both meetings.
Come early, mix and mingle, and catch up with your fellow association members.
There will also be surprises at the meetings, but you have to be present to take part in the fun.
Remember our very important business meetings. Grand Cayman, Wednesday, April 10th, 5:30 p.m. at the Georgetown Town Hall. And in Cayman Brac, Thursday, April 11th, 12:15 p.m. at the District Administration Building, upstairs, conference room. We look forward to seeing you at the meetings.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. I always enjoy having a chance to highlight opportunities for our students specifically to get training and opportunity to get a bit of education exposure, perhaps instruction, perhaps scholarship, perhaps who knows where that'll take them as they select their careers and put a great emphasis on upward mobility. In the studio, as we talk about the HSA's summer internship program for its students, from the HR is Miss Bernadette Beckles, together with our physician in the women's health section, Dr. Davina McCoy, and one of the medical laboratory technologists, Mr. Michael Parchment. Now, as you shared earlier, both of you have been through the summer internship. Dr. McCoy would say that was only last year. It wasn't that long ago. But it just shows, from that perspective, though, Miss Bernadette, the program has been ongoing for some time.
Quite many years,
yeah.
yes.
You shared registration starts this Saturday?
This Saturday, 6, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. For people who want to register, what do they have to do? Where do they come? I mean, just give it to me and I bring it to you. I mean, how does this work?
Okay. Well, we're having an informational day this year, which again is something new. It will be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It will be held at the Hibiscus Conference Room, which is located at the rear of the compound. And the students will be able to come and meet healthcare professionals from all various departments at the HSA. And they find out more about the internship at that time.
Okay, so this Saturday from 9 a.m.
to 1 p.m.
Hibiscus Conference Room.
Yes.
They come, of course, hsa.ky with the information.
Yeah.
All right, and you shared it's going to start from the 1st of June through the 15th?
15th of September.
Yeah. Students get a chance. Yeah. I know people have mixed views about this, so forgive me for asking. Internships this year, you should be thankful and, you should pay to get there. Others say, no, man, you need to have a couple of dollars. Does the HSA, other than a couple of pieces of chocolate now and again, is this paid?
Yes, it is a paid internship.
I know it is.
Yes.
And I commend you for doing that because our students, especially as a student, it's hard. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. McCoy. Hey, as a working father, it's hard. And I don't mean this to slight any of the private sector or any other internships, but a couple of dollars to students, whether they're out of high school, whether they're in university, you know what? They may be learning, but man, it's invaluable. Right. From that perspective, though, Michael, if I could ask you first. You're out of high school. You're thinking of options, not just you specifically, just generally speaking. You got teachers, you got parents, you got friends, you got everybody saying to you, boy, you should consider this and you should consider that, and you're making a choice. You end up somewhere. For you specifically, as you went into the HSC, How did this sort of help shape, mold you, and make you kind of figure, you know what, I kind of think I might like to be within the health sector? Maybe you knew exactly where, maybe you weren't. And Dr. McCoy, perhaps I could ask you a similar question. Mr. Parchman, if you don't mind.
Again, the main thing is that you're actually there. Instead of someone telling you or this and that, you're physically there, hopefully, if everything is working correctly. It is invaluable experience, one way or the other. And one of the things I like to tell young people when it comes to anything like that is if you get any opportunity you can get, you should seize, even if it's something, because sometimes you get some students, even in there, and when you talk to them, they're like, I'm not really interested in this, but this is where I ended up. Sorry, I just shared that. I mean, that does happen.
Yeah.
And what I always tell them is that, look, don't knock any experience in your life. If there's one thing I know, it doesn't matter where you end up, you can learn something from it. So a lot of it, I think, is dependent on the person's willingness to learn and be appreciative of any experience, positive or negative, because you can use it as a tool. And in my case, like I said, initially when I started, it was a shock because I didn't expect the profession to be what it was. And so, you go through some challenges in school. You're thinking, like, man, I'm working so hard. Is this really what I want to do? And I went from that to a point where I was able to understand it much better via what my colleagues would tell me, via the experience that mainly my supervisor afforded me, because I will say that she afforded me a special place at work. So I was hired to do a job there. I was doing phlebotomy, actually, drawing blood from patients. But she kept me in the laboratory, and she would encouraged me to speak with anyone that I was working with there. Once I had finished my work, then I would talk with them and find out what they're doing, ask them questions, and learn in that way. And also, she would sit down with me also and talk to me, coach me, which all of that is invaluable. That I can't tell you how many people would get an experience like that. So
mentoring and advice, guidance and direction, counsel, nurturing. Dr. McCoy, for you, going through the program.
I would say it's kind of similar to Mr. Michael. We go back far. But, I think for you have to, you're not always sure what you want to do. And that's okay. That's okay. But take the opportunities that you have to kind of feel it out. You get to move through different areas in the hospital. For me, I went through the biomedical engineering section. I thought that was more of a masculine type of job, but for everyone, that's if that fits you, then go with it. From there, I went to the lab as well, the pathology lab, and I eventually worked my way onto the wards, the medical ward in particular. And that's where I said, I think this is for me, working on the wards, working with patients. You learn a lot from those persons that you work amongst. So not just the physicians, but I learned a lot from the nursing staff as well. And you get a lot of guidance. So you're not left alone. You're supervised. You get a lot of hands-on experience. For me, I got to learn how to clerk patients, take patient histories, how to examine patients, and you gain confidence along the way. So by the time I went into medical school, it was almost, I won't say a breeze, but it was a little bit easier because I had already had that introduction into the program. And so for me, it was really rewarding, and I would say to others out there, take this opportunity and really seek it out. Even if you're not entirely sure if healthcare is where you want to go, as we said, there's so many different areas that you can branch out into, but just take this opportunity and run with it.
Exactly. And with that, Ms. Brown, the idea that a student can come in and may have an interest in a certain area. Now, the medical is there, but there's also the non-medical, the other support. You guys as physicians need your IT to work properly.
Definitely.
And that person who's in IT could be in the financial sector, but also work in the healthcare. So other areas as well?
Yeah, we always talk about, we have different branches to the tree, and that is exactly what our organization is. We need accountants. We have a very intricate finance system, and you need very good accountants. So for those who are CPAs or even with management degrees in finance, are more than welcome to are thinking of those degrees, are more than welcome to apply. Also with me, at one point in my life, I had science background, and then one day I said I really want to work with helping people, and so I became an HR officer. I mean, it's just you never know where your life will lead. So you take an opportunity, like Michael said, and any opportunity is going to help you in your life decision. And so with that being said, I would ask all interested high school or university students who are Caymanian or have the right to be Caymanian and are at least 16 years old, where you're more than welcome to apply.
All right. Now, with this, it is a professional working environment. The work day, is it like the school day, 8 to 3? Is it like the work day, or is it like the physicians, a 12-hour shift? what sort of?
It's a 7.5 work day. They have the same basic work week that admin professional would have, which is 37.5 hours for the week.
Which gives that prospective student, or gives that student an opportunity to say, well, this 5 days a week,
right?
Enjoy school now, because when you come back, it's going to be this, and that'll be,
those days change quickly.
Well, not discouraging you, but encourage you to stay in school. But this is why, because Dr. McCoy, you may only be at work, 15 hours that day, and you go, whew, that's a relief. I only had 15. I look at my brothers, and
that's a good day.
That's a good day. When they work half a day, it's literally 12 hours, and they're like, oh, it's only been half a day today. It is what we expect, and even, but you don't do it for the money only, right? It's that calling. Mr. Parchment is like, definitely not. But the beautiful part, though, I guess, those students who have an interest in this area, as Ms. Burnett shared, you want to serve, you want to be able to help people. You still want to be in that field of science and medicine, but putting your skill sets to a greater use.
Right.
So this Saturday, parents come with their students come on their own.
Be there till 1 p.m. We will be there.
Hibiscus Conference Room.
Yes, in the rear of the hospital.
Okay, so we come to the front, go past the pharmacy, go through the double doors, up the stairs on it, right there,
and a long walk to the back, or you could enter through the back.
Yeah, and if you get lost, ask somebody. It is Hibiscus Conference Room.
Everyone on compound knows.
And then go to hsa.ky is the website for more information. As we close, I'll come back to you for thoughts. Dr. McCoy, any encouraging words, anything you may want to share to listeners in relation to the program and to medicine?
Apply.
And apply yourself while you're playing.
I would just say, just as we've been saying through the whole show, is to just take this opportunity. It is a rewarding one. You hopefully won't have any regrets, and you will learn a lot. You will learn a lot from your colleagues, other interns, from the staff there at the hospital. But just come on out and see what it's all about.
Okay. Mr. Parchment, what about you, sir? I mean, you can't top that. I mean,
not difficult. I won't definitely not try to top it. But as Dr. McCoy said, take the opportunity for sure. I can tell you for sure, even as way back as I remember passing through the HSA, I think they always did a relatively good job taking care of the students. And with this upcoming change or the revampment of the program, that's very encouraging to me. And I think that any young person that's even remotely interested, this is a golden opportunity, excellent opportunity. And you should just go right ahead and take it. And just to summarize everything we said before, internship, you get a chance to see what actually goes on in a workplace. These opportunities are not very common. So again, please go ahead and apply. And it's a perfect opportunity also to start to network, meet different people, create contacts if you really care. And these things are very important as you prepare to go away to school and enter the working world. If you have that mind, it helps you. If you have that mindset or learn to develop that mindset from this early, it's going to work. It can only be better for them as they, progress through their academic career. So, golden opportunity, please take it.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Bernadette. So, this started at 9 to 1?
Yes, please.
Okay, Business Conference Room.
Yep.
Well, as it, summer unfolds, if you need any other assistance promoting, you know where to reach us, right?
Definitely.
We'd appreciate it.
Definitely. We thank you.
No, it is an honor here.
Thank you
really
very
come on.
much.
And we commend HSA for offering up this internship to our students. As both Dr. McCoy and Mr. Parchman said, let's take the opportunity. At 16 and older, I qualify. I'm at least 16 years old.
Yes, you are.
So there you go. Right to be Cayman. I'm West Bay. I'm not that qualified. We'll see. But thank you, guys. Have an excellent week.
You too.
Continue to do the great service that you do. And,
thank you.
To our listeners, after the news break, join us for some more Open Line.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. A boost in room stock is good news for tourism officials as the country sees a major boost in air arrivals in February. The Department of Tourism says the second month of the year saw a 12% increase over 2018 figures, with Cayman welcoming almost 45,000 visitors. Government says Beach Suites recently returned to the accommodations pool, adding 63 fully refreshed bedrooms to Cayman's room stock. Georgetown will also see the addition of an upscale 80-room beachfront hotel branded as the Curio Collection by Hilton in 2021. In international headlines, a fire at a Texas chemical plant today sent plumes of black smoke into the air, killing one worker and injuring at least two others. It's the second major blaze in a Houston area chemical facility in the past 2 weeks. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez confirmed the fatality in a tweet and said that the two injured had been taken by helicopter to a hospital. With Britain racing toward a chaotic exit from the European Union within days, Prime Minister Theresa May veered away from the cliff edge today, saying Britain would seek a further delay to Brexit as its politicians sought compromise to the crisis. May made the announcement after the EU's chief negotiator warned a disruptive and costly Brexit was likely unless Britain broke the impasse that has paralyzed the government and Parliament. Pope Francis said in a document released today that women have legitimate claims to seek more equality in the Catholic Church, but he stopped short of endorsing recent calls from his own bishops to give women leadership roles. Francis also told young adults that they should try to help priests at risk for sexually abusing minors in what a Vatican official said was the great act of trust the Pope has for today's youth to help priests in difficulty. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Save time, don't stand in line. You can apply for or renew your trade and business license online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just visit dci.gov.ky and click on the Trade and Business Online application link. Now, you don't need to stand in line, take time out of your busy schedule or try to find parking. You can apply for your trade and business license online. Visit dci.gov.ky today and save time for running your business.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks again to all the businesses that provide opportunities for not just high school and university students, but for people to get as much training and instruction as they can on the job. But I must commend the Health Services Authority for having this summer internship program. And if you're considering a field in the health services, in particular in the sciences, becoming part of the the medical fraternity, whether you'll be a physician, you'll be a nurse practitioner, whether you're going to work in the ER, whether you have a pension for being in the lab. But you may just have a skill set in HR, in finance, accounting, the technical areas, supporting the computer systems. Don't dismiss the Health Services Authority. There is an opportunity to learn about their summer internship program coming up on Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. over in the Hibiscus Conference Room. Go on to www.hsa.ky and get more information. It's going to start on the 1st of June, run through the 15th of September. So if you're 16 or older, I guess Susan and I just qualify. You can, and you're a high school, university student, go right ahead and check it out. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. What I say, nothing beats a try but a failure. Well, it's open line. It is open line. Let's take your calls and have you share your thoughts with us and wonder where can we go from here. 949-6990 or 949-8037. And recognize that it's a lot that's happening in this very small place. And there's a lot that's happening internationally that is affecting us sometimes in more ways than we recognize. For instance, just from the casual, general conversations that some are having when it comes to the notion of Brexit. What will that mean for the UK? And as a result, and by extension, what will it mean for us? What will it mean for those who have the UK passports, those of us who are students in the UK now? What is going to mean as we look globally? And we're seeing increasingly what some have, on one hand, labeling as more nationalism. Others are calling it being insular and xenophobic. But we're seeing countries, perhaps because of political pressures, perhaps because of the economic and social concerns from increasing population, people perhaps fleeing their lands because of persecution, because of challenges they're facing at home. Now, as the world is, perhaps some of us shared, facing unprecedented times, makes it increasingly difficult. Now, is it that some have shared that those that we've elected have lost touch, no longer connected to reality and grounded with the true and real concerns that the majority of the populace feel? For those who have looked at the issues of, well, how do we maintain a sense of social stability and political harmony? How do we look at the notion that teacher is spending countless hours instructing a class with the perspective that these are the future leaders and these are the individuals who are going to ensure stability and prosperity and social harmony and what have you. And yet, as they go through and matriculate, those students may find that some of the things that they expected are no longer the things that they were told, or perhaps not really the way it is. It isn't because of the reward comes from the effort, the sacrifice, but it comes from what they say, it's who you know, as it were. Now, what is your thought? What, if anything, can we as a people do to ensure that we have a greater sense of stability? And what, if any, thing do you think is happening that is causing us to question whether there is any great sense of prosperity down the road? Our actions resulting in sustainable outcomes for future generations? Share with you as a notion. A fellow said just recently, with a group of other like-minded citizens, they decide to take a trek to some areas where it wasn't always as accessible. And two things he found. One, that those areas are even more accessible than he realized, not just because people are looking to escape from the congestion, but for different reasons, development being one. Some of these areas are no longer as remote as he had believed. He recognized, he said, that it has been so long that he's been to some of those areas. And two, he found that in some of these areas, the lack of respect for the environment, so the amount of litter and the like that has been thrown over some of these areas. But he said it was, not just alarming and disappointing, but embarrassing. One of the members of the group was visiting Cayman and had the first visit in a very long time, and they were expecting to see a relatively, untouched, unspoiled area, only to discover that that path had been beaten a long time by many, and only showed how he, as someone who's been living here for so long, is really, to some extent, spending time in his own areas, his own world, oblivious at times to how much is happening outside of, his little sphere of influence. Now, he shared that with me to indicate that how many of us equally are facing similar sort of perspectives, or we rarely step out of, what he says, is our comfort zone. We don't share a perspective that is perhaps different because we don't want to be looked at in a negative way or to be considered suspect or what have you. Now, he shared that as a result of that afternoon of exploration, as I would term it, they retreated to their regular place and had a chance to chat. Now, of course, the exercise was more than just a little bit of exploration. There was an opportunity for discovery, and he indicated that part of the opportunity presented was to consider the pace of development, the future face of Cayman and its landscape, spurred, he said, to a great extent, by what they thought was an alarming increase in the development of our physical landscape. And now to recognize, he shared, that we have serious consideration, seemingly, to develop not just along the 7 Mile Beach corridor, in an unprecedented manner, perhaps driven by the significant amount of money that can be made. So not only will we see some of the older condos, being redeveloped to sometimes 3 or 4 times the height, but potentially maybe even 10 times the height that they are now. But equally, other undeveloped lands wanting to likewise be developed. Now, he shared that 2 of the individuals in the little outing were recently, because of business, had to travel, and like many, they were in a very, very densely populated place as part of the work requirements. And he shared that looking at what was around them, so you walk and you look up, and you could almost look straight up and almost fall over, looking at the height of some buildings, the mass of concrete all around, the limited green space, even from some of the highest vantage points, were very few and far between, as it were. And then he wonders, is that what we want for Cayman? Is it that we'll have 1 or 2 public lands, whether it's 10 acres or 50 acres, or maybe we'll have a slightly larger area, and we're all expected to crowd into it? He thinks, for instance, if you look at the public beach, for example, the development that's proposed there for these cabanas for the prospective vendors, will that be something that we would welcome? Is it something that is necessary? Or will it then again change what we expect our beaches to be like, and again be more like what we've come to see in other parts of the world, catering to changing and ever increasing demands by others without being fully respectful or cognizant of what perhaps should be the environment we have here. But he said, at the end of the day, it seems that people are not able or are not willing to look beyond what is here, what is now, and have little or no regard for what may be 10 years or 20 years. Because even, he says, in the group, what one of the individuals shared, we don't know whether they're going to be here tomorrow, much less 10 or 20 years from now. So get it while you can. Is that the mentality, you think, and the mindset of most of us? What is your view? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Now, I did reach out to him again and asked of him, but I guess the response was partly because of travel and partly because of his nature. He likes to give things some time to sort of think about it long term. I asked him what was his view that was sort of put forward by Mr. Borden recently relative to building roads, causeways, bridges, whatever you want to call them, in and around the North Sound to allow easier flow of traffic. Some may say an excellent idea, others may not be so willing to embrace. But what is your perspective? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Got a final break to take. When we take our break and we come back, we invite your calls and ask you to share your thoughts with us. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. You can also WhatsApp 925-3261. So when we come back from the break, we invite you to stay tuned, join us, and share your thoughts with us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Spring is in the air and Easter around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. Stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call 946-3336. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news.
Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255 or WhatsApp 925-3261. Quick WhatsApp message that this person shares a perspective that I read it during the break, reread it just before we came on, and do you read it as it's sent, as the caller intended, or do you, as I said to the caller or the messenger here, sometimes maybe we do ourselves a disservice by sort of editing and being to some extent, a little bit more limited in what we share. Other times, maybe we are not mindful enough to appreciate that how something is said is not always how it may be perceived. But this message, as a way to somewhat paraphrase, and maybe I'll read one or two of the lines verbatim. In paraphrasing, it says, what is going to happen to Cayman is going to happen, and unless you're the one pulling the strings and calling the shots, nothing's going to change. It said, for instance, the port is going to come to pass if it's so ordained, was I think what was typed. Secondly, it said everything else that happens that can serve as a distraction, then people get focused on it. When they reference in the court ruling, it said, now we'll get so my paraphrasing, caught up with this decision that we'll ignore that one. There's a thought process of having, building heights 50, 100 stories. Why not 1,000 stories? It said. And then two, when we look at the idea that as we continue to build and to spend, whether as a government or as a private sector, are we looking at what the cost will be, not just to the amount of money that is spent, but to the environmental impact. The part that it said, what I thought was interesting, shared that, with the recent visit by the royals, and this was the word you used, the hullabaloo. I think that's how that would have been said if it's spelled the way I looked at it. That was created around this whole visit relative to the environmental concerns. If we're serious about our environment, would we take stock, step back, and reconsider some of the plans that we hear are being considered not just by government but by the private sector? Now, I messaged the fellow back and asked, well, what are some of these rumors? Seemingly, some of you are very much aware that there may be one or two other buildings near some of the taller buildings that are being proposed. Some of you may be aware, as has been alleged by a few of you, that many projects on the drawing boards as there were, not yet officially, before the planning authorities to decide, but equally, there are things that some are considering, and seemingly, as I've been made to understand, that the decision now is, well, do we try to build it at the 10 stories that is legally allowed? Do we find a way to maybe extend that 10 to 12 or 13 stories? Or do we wait to see whether there'll be an opportunity to build it to 30 stories or to 50 stories? The building that can be 10 stories now is all of a sudden 30 stories. Would that not make it more valuable for the developer? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Or equally, you can send us your thoughts on our WhatsApp, 925-3261. And then one other WhatsApp that came through, and it read simply that, just ask the question, what are we doing? That's all the person typed. What are we doing? Now, could that be in reference to where we are as a country in relation to the things that have been done, whether it's the political decisions and discussions, or whether it is in relation to some of the thoughts? Now, reading it as is and understanding that the person has also made previous comments in relation to that talked about the country's sort of long-term growth and the prospects for independence, the prospects that we're looking from the perspective that our country isn't focusing significantly and sufficiently on what it means, for us down the road. This person's comments, well, what are we doing? Well, what is your view? How would you answer that? What are we doing from the perspective of the elected government about A, B, or C? What are we doing, from your own personal perspective in relation to A, B, or C? Your thoughts. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. If you want to share your thoughts with us, you can call or you can WhatsApp. Now, one of the sentiment that someone messaged and asked was, I thought, quite striking, in that this person suggests that Cayman is, for one part, politically divided, not just because we see the partisan politics at play, not even because of the number of people who live here who can't as yet qualify to be electors or even stand for election, but it's divided because the people who are already sort of on the electoral register are unaware that there is a greater hand at play. And the person's sentiments is that those who pay, literally, it was in block, bold, capital letters, pay, for the politicians to be elected, are the ones who are deciding what or happens, how it happens, or when it happens. Now, I read that over a couple of times and I ask, is it really that simple that we do have individuals who are not accountable to the electorate because they themselves have not campaigned nor are elected, whether or not they are electors themselves, whether they are just people who have a financial stake in this country? But is it that is what is happening? This person's view is that is exactly what is happening, and that we only have in our minds this mistaken belief that it's a democracy. Now, is that a very jaded, sinister perspective, or is that the reality? What is your view? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Now, one sentiment that seemed sort of a message had shared prior, not that long ago, was when we think of the investment as a family or as a business in scholarship and tuition and our education, whether for ourselves or for our employees or for our own, is it something that is going to pay in a great dividend if they don't really have a sense that there's a place for them in the future that Cayman has to offer? Now, if that's not jaded, you tell me. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Of course, 949-6990. And you can share your thoughts with us and give us as you wish, your input. Now, I have been asked to look at a few things and I'm trying to get through some of the information, but some of it I think has to be perhaps driven more by the people asking for input as it is by us on this end, because then it'll be a case that instead of reporting on something, you'll be creating the content, not necessarily held to perspective. But as one of the individuals involved has sort of suggested, there is a greater agenda at hand that is perhaps to some extent not necessarily one that is fully inclusive of as many people as being affected by it. 949-8037 1-800-534-8255, or you can always call us on 949-6990. Now, as we look at a few things, we invite you to join us tomorrow. We've got on Wednesdays members from the government, whether the elected or through the different government entities, coming on board, sharing with us. Those will be some of the things that we have in store for us tomorrow, including a chance to talk about the fire service and the new fire chief and the like. That is what is partly on store for us on our schedule tomorrow. And we invite you to join Mr. Art in the morning as he comes to you for the record. Certainly be a part of our continuing programming here. Until tomorrow, enjoy your afternoon. Make sure that you become actively involved and informed and engaged. If your country is on a path that you like, then continue to champion it. If you have concerns and reservations, express those, and not just to the people that you think can and should be making a difference, but if they're not, stay on top of it. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman